Welcome back to the
Yeah,
podcast.
we're live.
We got episode 4 of Undertaker. Second to last episode. The go home episode, if you will.
The what?
The go home episode to the final episode.
The
Anyway,
last ride documentary. I don't know why I did the breach voice, but that's what we do on this show. And every video we ever create, we do the breach voice. But I thought it was a pretty good episode. It wasn't as dramatic as the. I feel like it was dramatic in a different way, but it wasn't as chaotic as the last episode.
yeah, it was a good setup for the final episode, I think. And I think the end kind of is like the biggest cliffhanger, even though we know what happens. So I was interested in it. I know like they started off showing like a recap of the freaking whatever it's called, match of DX and the Brothers of Destruction, and I just don't need to see that. Like I just don't need to see that. Like I was all excited. I was like, oh sweet, like it's the Taker thing just dropped, the new episode finally, and here we are reliving that terrible atrocity, whatever the word is, that was like that match. So that was not a fun way to start off the show, but they kind of went in deep dive of the Undertaker character. What did you think about that?
They finally got to show his like backstory persona. Like, oh, why did he stay in gimmick all the time, 24/7? Like his life was like you book your life into a work into a shoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Booked yourself into a shoot, and pretty much he said like this character was gonna be his life. Like if he's gonna do this character, this is gonna be his character. As long as
Yeah,
he's character, like it's gonna be, I'm gonna wear all black. I'm gonna I'm
live the
gonna like
persona.
be very ominous, not really do much media, do many movies or shows that I'm offered.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much stay in stealth all the time. Like people are gonna see me to a point where people see him is like, should I go up to the Undertaker? Because
Yeah, it's
it's,
like
he set himself up as to have oh, he's like, just leave him alone.
yeah, because I mean he really lived the gimmick, and I mean the one interesting thing about this episode was while they were explaining that he was doing this, they were cutting in the old vignettes and promos, but it wasn't like the vignettes and promos like in completion. It was the like behind the scenes stuff. So like the camera would like he would do the line, the camera would keep rolling, and that's like you see him laughing afterward, or you would see like Bruce Pritchard say something, or Paul Bearer, make a joke or something like that. And I thought that was awesome. Honestly, I'm gonna say that's a lot in this episode. If there's any reason to watch this episode, this is like a must watch like part because it's just so crazy to see all these. You've seen like the final promos and stuff from over the years, but you really don't see the surrounding stuff. Like what happened after the camera stopped
You
rolling.
don't see Undertaker break character. You don't see them like setting up
Yeah.
the set. Like there's a lot of stuff to go into setting up a fake,
Mm-hmm.
funeral area or like, oh, a casket and all that. Like you don't get to see you finally get to see the outtakes of all the things.
And
You're
I
so used
think
to.
I think it's interesting that they kept that footage because I don't think they would have showed that footage like even 5 years ago. So the fact that they are showing it now, it's like they filmed that and kept rolling for this years later. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To see that like difference.
And Apollo Crews just beat what's his face.
So anyway, so basically, they went into at the very beginning. They kind of transitioned from him talking about him staying in character always to kind of like the modern, like the current day, where a couple of years ago, I guess it was last year, they talked about that he was booked for a signing in Vegas, and holy crap,
We brought up Starcast. So me, Ryan, Alex, and Ravi, we're gonna go to Vegas. They announced that. That was like a huge drop. Undertaker at Starcast. All the rumors starting is like, is he going to AEW? Is he just doing a signing? Um, everyone was saying, oh, like Dave and them were saying, like, oh, it's just like the news reports, like, oh, he's just doing a signing. He's not doing AEW. Like he's just booked for Starcast, nothing else. And that led to Vince calling him like, "Hey, you're doing a sign. Like, what are you doing? What's going on?" And Taker's like, "Oh, I'm just doing a signing." And he's like, Everyone thinks you're gonna jump ship." And he's like, "No, I'll never never jump ship." And then that's how the signing got cut. Pretty much Vince vetoed it and then signed Taker to like that crazy deal.
And we knew that it was Vince that is the one that vetoed it. But I think the biggest thing about this was the fact that a WWE production addressed it. You know what I mean? Like it was interesting because they talked about every single thing except naming AEW. They said, the other company, they said jump ship. They showed the tweet from Starcast. They had like the titles of Starcast.
Graphic, that Vegas graphic with the cards,
Mm-hmm.
which was wild. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. I mean, that was crazy to see because, it's when Taker brought it up that early into the episode, I was like, oh, wow, like they're going there. Like I didn't think that they were going to go there because, past WWE productions, they don't go that far. They go far, but not that far.
Hate on AEW so much, yet they don't realize how much money AEW has helped wrestlers, including the Undertaker himself,
Hmm.
has financially gained from AEW just being there. And he wasn't even a part of anything. He was just part of a convention that was before their first ever show.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't even that big of a deal. It was two separate entities that happened to partner with each other, and I guess that just rubbed Vince the wrong way. And I mean, Vince. It seems like Vince gets he gets what he wants, obviously, and we know that as the fans. But it was kind of like told there because Vince just all of a sudden, leading up to WrestleMania 35, like the day before, is just like, "Hey Taker, like, do you have your gear? We have an idea for Monday." And I was like, hold on. So you're telling me that Undertaker had to book his own flight to fly back home to
He didn't
Texas?
fight. Vince already definitely set that up, but like,
Okay,
how do you
but
like
he had to
going
find
there?
he had to find a flight. He had to go back to Texas to get his gear and then fly back. Why did they not let him use the jet? You could have hopped on the jet. Like no one else is going anywhere. Taker needed to go to Texas. Hop on the jet, fly to Texas, get his stupid gear, come back.
Or why can't I don't know? I guess someone can just roll up in his house and take his gear because you don't know how his situation is. But like, yeah, um, that's why like there's like I always hear wrestlers like shooting reviews like always bring your gear because you never know when you're gonna get booked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you wouldn't think like the Undertaker would follow that rule because it's like, oh, if I'm coming here, they would tell me what the hell I'm doing. Like I'm
Yeah,
not to come hang out with the boys. I'm coming here to watch Mania. I'm coming here to chill essentially, and then you're telling me, oh, I'm booked for something, and like I didn't bring my gear, and then Vince is like, you always bring your gear. I'm like, and his
yeah.
head, he's like, I'm just here to chill.
Vince said a pro would bring their gear and Taker followed up with a pro would book me to start with, and I was like, "Go Taker!" Like, of course, like you know what I mean. And
Undertaker's high on the ladder. He's not some random guy that like he
mhm.
gets a tryout or like a low tier like guy that's like, oh, he's just in the back and like waiting to get a spot. No, he's Undertaker. I feel like you should have a plan for your one of your biggest stars ever. You just don't expect him to have his gimmicks on him.
And here's the thing. So I had no recollection of this segment that Taker was gonna do. So when I realized that they had him go all the way home the night before WrestleMania to get his gear, only to choke slam Elias. Why did they make him go through that whole thing just to put it on Raw? Why not put it on Mania? He had his gear for Mania. Why not like a lot, like 5 minutes to have this segment? Because the show goes like 10 hours or whatever. Why not
That
have that big moment on Mania?
that show went up till 12:30.
I mean,
The best part is he's like, well, at least I'm booked on Raw. Like he made the joke like I'm not on Mania. Like how people get booked off Mania. Like, well, at least you're on the night after Raw. The most watched show.
mhm.
Even so disrespectful. Like even Taker made fun of it. Like, yeah, I guess I'm on Raw. Not
And
the same.
they had the one thing I caught was they like when they were showing like Taker backstage, like talking to Vince and like like Taker was like explaining that he had to go get his gear. So here's kind of like the state of where WWE's at with their their documentaries and stuff. Who do we see right there but a short little guy with a bald head and it says "GOAT" on the back? Rey Mysterio just unmasked. He's just unmasked, walking around, and they're
I
just
didn't
filming it.
notice that. I didn't even notice that.
Like that's the time in wrestling that we're in with the WWE where they don't give an f about nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's Ray, like kayfabe much, but that's besides the point. Taker, before one of the shows, he was just sitting in the hallway, and like he was like, filming like an interview with like the documentary crew, and you have all these people. You have Seth Rollins walking by, Triple H walking by, and they're all giving him crap for just like being in the middle of the aisle and getting all these cameos, and I thought that was awesome.
I like the best part is like, well, I'm like the Godfather, and he does like the Michael Scott, like the same gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Yeah,
I thought me good.
that was good.
What
And
was
then
this?
obviously,
The build to the build to Saudi, and
yeah,
like I like the Undertaker's confidence, like, oh, we could do this, like he's younger, but in everyone's head, everyone's like, oh, this match it'll be passable.
I
He's
mean,
confident to be like, yeah, this is gonna be a great spectacle, right? Which is like the only thing we think of when we see these matches, like, oh, it should be like a good 5 minute match, they'll do a couple big moves and they go home. But
to
like that,
quote, no, go ahead.
no, go because
No, to quote Michelle McCool, and honestly, like, I mean, like, do we not see a pattern here with these stupid shows? To quote Michelle McCool, she said, and I quote, "It was a train wreck." And if that doesn't, look at every single Taker match that has happened, and where has it happened at the past, like, 3 or 4 years or whatever? It's happened on these stupid shows. And what happens every time they go into it thinking, oh, this is going to be great. DX and the Brothers of Destruction, going to be great. Triple H versus Undertaker wasn't bad, but, oh, it's going to be great.
that was Australia.
Undertaker versus Goldberg. They're all
Oh,
terrible. They're
this
all
is
train wrecks.
he literally Goldberg spears the ring pole, gets a concussion, blood from the head, can't do anything. Jackhammers Undertaker, which is pretty much a suplex, barely got him up, dropped him on in the not the back of his neck, but like towards like between your back and your spine. I don't even know how to explain it. Like
Oh, that was so hard to watch.
upper back. But like it was like inches from his head to break
That
his
was
neck.
so hard to watch, dude.
Taker's fine. He's like mad. And then I feel like he wanted to bury Goldberg, but they didn't want to bury Goldberg because they kept like bury. He's like he got it, but like he's still mad. And then the build for Roman. And then I remember watching that pay-per-view, like that opener. I realized the opener, I was like, that was a great match.
I have no memory of this Extreme Rules match, honestly.
I
just
remember,
don't know.
I think it was a Shinsuke match and Shinsuke won, and then the Taker match and then Taker won. I was like, oh, this is a great show. Like there's nothing, like pretty much I turned off the show after that because it didn't get any better from that, and it didn't get any better from that.
What was it? When was this? Was this 2019?
Yeah, 2019.
Okay, well I have no idea what I was doing. It was like early 2019, right after Mania. So, I was probably, it was senior year of school, so I don't know if I was watching the show. But at that point,
2019. This is the show where Brock cashed in on Becky. I mean, on Becky.
Oh, then I definitely didn't watch that then.
Yeah, I remember watching this show. Oh, yeah, the show opened with Taker. I believe it was Taker and Roman Reigns, the whole bar. And then it was like, was Shinsuke? Did Shinsuke? Oh, yeah, Shinsuke beat Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship, and Undertaker and Roman defeated Shane and Drew. And I was like, turn off the show. The show's over.
Yeah, I don't remember this. But the one thing that was interesting about after that match was we saw AJ coming up to Taker and like walking away, and they were talking. And obviously, we know what that's for. But I mean, I'm interested to see, like, are they setting up episode 5 to be about the graveyard match, and then like, is that it? Is he going to retire at the end of this, like, episode 5?
Because like the way that match ends, everyone's like, that was like the best match. Like nothing's gonna top like that. That changed wrestling. Like that match changed everything. It was like, oh my god, these cinematic matches like change everything. Like you get Sting and Undertaker and do it in one of these things, and it'll be fine because you could edit it.
It'll be fine, but like, I mean, this is one of those things where, like, Taker even says in the documentary, like, he should have went out with Shawn. He should have went out where he could still do it on his own terms.
He's like, I wish I went out with you. And then I feel like 28 was the
that
best.
Should have been it.
30, he could have left, and no one would have said anything. Like the streak's over. Yeah. Like that's it. Undertaker's gone forever.
And 32 with Roman.
No, 33 with Roman.
33, whatever. It's all the same.
And then that was like a retirement essentially. They main evented that Mania with that.
Yeah, that he left his stuff in the ring. He went to Michelle McCool and broke character, and that should have been it. And you know what? Honestly, watching this and going into episode 5 next week, I hope that we don't have a part 2 of the last ride in a couple of years, and in 5 years we're gonna be like, man, I wish they would have stopped after that AJ match.
Yeah, I feel like Undertaker. I don't know. In my head, I'm like watching this like Undertaker. I feel like Undertaker wants to wrestle a match. This is his last match.
Uh-huh.
But him driving off in that motorcycle, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like if he never shows up on TV again, or just like you know what I mean, like never does anything. It's like he came, he beat up AJ, he rode off.
He legit killed Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows.
And like the thing about that AJ storyline, it was like a shoot. It was like, oh, you're not the Undertaker, and then you're like, here's you with Tigers with Michelle McCool, Here's you on Instagram and Twitter. Like it was like they literally broke the whole character off. Like they killed the Undertaker character essentially.
And I'll wrap it up here. Just as kind of like a joke, but kind of like a funny thing. Undertaker at the end of the episode said, "The loyalty is to the dragon." So confirmed, Undertaker is a big Bryan Danielson mark. Anyway, I mean, episode 4 was great. It was like a lot of fun to watch it. Obviously, from the behind the scenes footage to the Starcast thing, all the way to kind of like towards the end where it kind of left off on a lead into next week. And I'm very excited for next week's episode 5, the final of this thing. And we're going to see, is Taker going to be retiring at the end of this episode, or what's going to be?
Is he retiring, or are they gonna announce like a final match? Like,
yeah,
Undertaker AJ at SummerSlam.
But that's it.
We'll see. There you go.
That's it. I'll talk to you again
Tomorrow.
Yeah.